Should the U.S. help defend Taiwan if it means going to war with China?
Taiwan did take all of our chip business. You know, we used to make our own chips. Now they're made in Taiwan. Taiwan took, smart, brilliant. They took our business away. We should have stopped them. We should have taxed them. We should have tariffed them.
In a recent July 2024 interview with Bloomberg Businessweek, Donald Trump has all but invited Xi Jinping to invade Taiwan by signaling that he's at best lukewarm about defending Taiwan from a Chinese invasion. He accused Taiwan of, quote, taking 100% of our chip business, end quote, and said that, quote, Taiwan doesn't give us anything, end quote, and questioned why the U.S. should continue to defend the island democracy. I'll show you his full quotes in the transcript at the end of the video to make sure nothing was taken out of context. But before we get into exactly what he said in the Bloomberg interview, let's take a step back and see what else Trump has said on this topic in recent years to see if his earlier statements track with this recent interview. In March 2021, Washington Post reporter Josh Rogin just released his book, Chaos Under Heaven: Trump, Xi, and the Battle for the 21st Century, after interviewing Trump several times. Rogin first published an excerpt of his book on the Daily Beast, which detailed what happened after Trump took a congratulatory call from Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen soon after he won the 2016 election. Of course, the call angered Xi Jinping, and soon Trump and Xi talked by phone, and Trump conceded that the call was wrong and promised that it wouldn't happen again. After these calls, Trump's attitude towards Taiwan, quote, vacillated between indifference and disrespect, end quote. And when members of Trump's administration, who were generally pro-Taiwan hawks, visited Taiwan and Beijing complained, Trump took China's side and went ballistic when he found out that a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Alex Wong, went to Taipei to meet with Taiwanese officials. "Who the fuck is Alex Wong?" he screamed, according to one person in the room. "And why didn't anyone tell me he was going to Taiwan? Get him out of there." John Bolton, Trump's national security advisor, told Josh Rogin that in 2019, quote, Trump once told me, "I never want to hear from you about Taiwan, Hong Kong, or the Uyghurs," end quote. That same year, a GOP senator tried to convince Trump to persuade Beijing to not crack down on Hong Kong protesters because it may embolden China to take over Taiwan next. Trump told the senator, quote, "Taiwan is like 2 feet from China. We are 8,000 miles away. If they invade, there isn't a fucking thing we can do about it," end quote. Josh Rogin interviewed Trump again in October 2021 for the paperback edition of his book, and Trump told him that when he was president, Xi Jinping personally promised him that he wouldn't invade while Trump was president, even though China was steadily building up its military capability to invade Taiwan the whole time. Trump said that he believed Xi Jinping, which to Rogin helps explain why Trump didn't do more to help Taiwan prepare for such an attack. Rogin also detailed how Xi Jinping would often ask Trump for personal favors, which Trump almost always granted. Fast forward to July 2023 when Trump was interviewed by Maria Bartiromo on Fox News.
Should the U.S. help defend Taiwan if it means going to war with China?
Well, I don't want to say it because if I'm in the position of president, I don't want to say what I'm thinking. You know, if I answer that question, it'll put me in a very bad negotiating position. With that being said, Taiwan did take all of our chip business. You know, we used to make our own chips. Now they're made in Taiwan. 90% of the chips
advanced
are made in
semiconductor
Taiwan.
chips, 90% are made in Taiwan. If China goes in there, they'll be able to turn the world on and off. Isn't that right?
If China takes Taiwan, they will turn the world off, potentially. I mean, potentially. But remember this, Taiwan took, smart, brilliant, they took our business away. We should have stopped them. We should have taxed them. We should have tariffed them.
Richard Haass, former Deputy Secretary of State under Colin Powell and now President of the Council of Foreign Relations, had this to say about the interview.
So, Richard, what do you think? I mean, this is the president talking a very dangerous game here with Taiwan, and akin to how We mentioned a little earlier how Vladimir Putin might be watching the 2024 election to take his cues as to what to next. Well, maybe Xi Jinping will as well.
No, you're exactly right. I think both presidents, Putin and Xi, are going to wait and see what things look like come January 2025. The first half of what the former president said was actually consistent with U.S. policy. He wouldn't say one way or the other. It's called strategic ambiguity, whether the United States would come to Taiwan's defense. That's actually consistent with American foreign policy. Second half, though, shall we say, is wildly, wildly inconsistent. This idea of portraying Taiwan as an economic adversary, the way he did it is one, wrong, and two, casts real doubt about our willingness to come to Taiwan's defense. And if we were not to, we shouldn't underestimate the consequences, not just economically, but strategically. The Japanese, the South Koreans, and others, the entire American alliance system in Asia, I think now hinges on what the United States is prepared to do for Taiwan. If you don't want China to be in a position where, to use the president's expression, it can turn off the world's economy, then let's deter China. Let's persuade Xi Jinping that whatever his dreams, whatever his aspirations to take over Taiwan, the costs and the risks would be too great. We ought to be projecting a certainty that we are going to come to Taiwan's help, and we ought to be building up the capacity to do it. This, unfortunately, goes in the opposite direction.
A few months later, in September 2023, Trump was interviewed by NBC's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press. When she first asked Trump if he would send troops to Taiwan, he ignored her question and didn't answer it, so she had to ask a second time.
And it just shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. What happened, what China did to the world was so bad. But I had a great relationship with President Xi, really great relationship. And he was going to stop fentanyl from coming in. He was going to do a lot of, he was going to criminalize it if you made it. You know, in China, they have a death penalty for drug dealers. He was going to make that with fentanyl dealers too. But then the election didn't work out, and he never had to do that.
I know you've been asked this, but very quickly, if China were to invade Taiwan, have you made a determination, again, since voters are about to go to the polls, would you send the U.S. military into Taiwan if President Xi were to invade? President Biden says he would.
I won't say. Because if I said, I'm giving away, you know, only stupid people are going to give that answer. I heard the other day DeSanctimonious said something about he was going to do this or he was going to do that. I say, well, why is he saying the strategy? You can't say that. So when you ask me that question, I would never say that because you give away all your options.
But you don't take it off the table.
I don't take anything off the table, no.
Now that takes us up to the July 2024 Bloomberg Businessweek article. Here's one of the reporters of the article giving some context of their interview with Trump.
So I sat down with him and a few of my colleagues from Businessweek at Mar-a-Lago. We were there for about 90 minutes. We got 90 minutes with him. And we had a very wide-ranging conversation about the business, the U.S. economy. We talked about Taiwan, Russia, his legal cases. This was before the shooting and 2 days before the debate, just to give you a sense of his mindset. But he was in a great mood. He had just come back from a Louisiana fundraiser. The fundraising numbers were starting to pick up much faster than they had anticipated. The polling was showing him doing really well and starting to expand the map. And so he was in a great mood. And that was even before the debate 2 days later.
It's pretty incredible stuff that's in this article that everyone should read. You can find it on the terminal now and online. The idea on foreign policy is we all get ready to hear Nikki Haley speak this evening, who focused so much of her primary campaign on foreign policy, that Trump suggested to you that the U.S. may not actually have a duty to defend Taiwan, that Taiwan maybe should actually pay the United States for protection. What should we make of that?
I thought it was a remarkable moment in the interview. We ended up asking, a lot of economic questions about sanctions against Russia, and we asked about Taiwan sort of as a throwaway question. And he basically came out and said, what has Taiwan done for us? We have been Taiwan's insurance policy for years. They stole our chips business. I'm just not sure it makes sense for us to, keep defending them when China wants them so badly. It was a really remarkable moment.
So now let's get into the actual transcript of the interview. Number 1, Taiwan. I know the people very well, respect them greatly. They did take about 100% of our chip business. I think Taiwan should pay us for defense. We're no different than an insurance company. Taiwan doesn't give us anything. Taiwan is 9,500 miles away. It's 68 miles away from China. a slight advantage, and China is a massive piece of land. They could just bombard it. They don't even need to, they can literally just send shells. For the record, Taiwan is actually about 100 miles away from China, not 68 miles. And Taiwan is about 5,000 miles away from Hawaii and about 6,700 miles away from California, not 9,500 miles. Here's what else Trump said. Quote, "I wouldn't feel so secure right now if I was them, Taiwan. But remember this, Taiwan took our chip business from us. How stupid are we? They took all of our chip business. They're immensely wealthy. And I don't think we're any different from an insurance company. Why? Why are we doing this? They took almost 100% of our chip industry." End quote. It's also worthwhile to note that for the first time since 1980, Taiwan wasn't mentioned at all in the Republican National Committee's recently released 2024 party platform. Soon after the Bloomberg interview came out, Taiwan's Premier and Foreign Affairs Ministry responded to Trump's comments.
双方之间过去友好的关系，我们努力让它不仅维持，而且更能够往好的方向走。双方之间对于台海、印太地区共同的责任，我们愿意付出更多的责任，这是在防卫我们自己，保障我们的安全。
And Taiwan's Foreign Affairs Ministry had this to say.
在过去，不管是民主党政府或是共和党政府，都是很确实的依据《台湾关系法》还有6项保证，履行对台湾的安全承诺。那台湾其实也一直透过对美军购来加强我们的自我防卫能力。
While Taiwan seems quick to defend the strength of the two countries' relations, Trump's comments are a little surprising, considering Taiwan spent over $18 billion on US military equipment during Trump's term as president, something the US State Department has also reiterated. Those comments from the Premier and the Foreign Ministry both allude to Taiwan strengthening its own capabilities. This year, Taiwan is spending 2.5% of its gross domestic product on defense, the highest figure ever, and has been investing heavily in domestically made military equipment and training.
When asked about Trump's comments during a press briefing on July 17th, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller had this to say.
I wonder if those comments were you in any way or form or another.
So, I think I said this yesterday. It's going to be a tricky few months where I have to walk the line of what I can and can't say about remarks that are made on the campaign trail. But I will point out that Taiwan has been paying for its own defense. Taiwan has been purchasing military equipment from the United States to the tune of billions of dollars. And the military equipment that they have purchased supports American manufacturing, supports American industry, supports American technology. So the purchases that they have made not only are important, we believe, to regional security, but are important to the United States economy. Now, there is money that was contained in the recently passed supplemental bill that gives us, for, I believe, the first time, the ability to provide Taiwan with drawdown authority and other weapons from U.S. stocks. But that is a new authority. If you look at the support that we have provided, or the security cooperation that we have provided them over decades, it has been Taiwan actually purchasing military from the United States. It has not been in any way charity from the United States. And I would just point out that we continue to believe that cross-strait peace and stability is essential to the United States. It's essential to the American people. It's essential to the global economy. And the United States, of course, is inherently wrapped up in the global economy. And anything that contributes to instability across the Taiwan Strait can potentially damage the economy here at home. So that's why these issues are so incredibly important.